Forest. I'm your host Kent Reese. Chase Kent ain't here on this podcast. It's my friend Jacoby. Introduce yourself, my friend.
What's going on, guys? Yep. Um, Thank you, Kent, for having me on. For those of you that don't remember, I did do an episode last season, but excited to get into what lies ahead for the Hokies here. So
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into this. Virginia Tech falls to Wake Forest 30-23. My friend, there was way too many penalties in this football game.
it sure was, Kent. And, I was taking a look at the penalty breakdown on this game. And to my surprise, Wake Forest was actually flagged 11 times, while Virginia Tech was only flagged 6 times. Now, the difference here was Virginia Tech's flags came at more important times and accounted for nearly as much yardage as Wake Forest's 11 penalties. So even though we had about half the amount of penalties that Wake Forest had, ours were much more costly for us in this game.
I know there's late hits out of ground, late hits out of the ground, late hits out of bounds caused the Hokies big times in the first half because we was up 14-3.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that as kind of I guess I would consider myself a little bit more old school. I think every once in a while, especially the way that the officiating of college football has turned to prioritizing the health, of the players. I understand that. So sometimes I'll let a couple slide, but this all comes down to coaching and kind of a self governance of our own players, recognizing when maybe the play is over and they need to kind of reel it in. So
Yeah. By the way, shout out to our boy Joey Gasparini. He said, "Let's get into it."
that's right. Thank you, Joey. I appreciate you watching. So Ken, how do you want to do? You want to just dive into? I took a couple notes on the Wake Forest game. I rewatched a little bit of a redacted kind of version of the important plays, and I'm happy to kind of give you my 2 cents. And feel free to interrupt me at any point if you want to, or was there something that you wanted to go into first?
Hey, you can bring your take up right now, my friend.
Okay, so look, it's no secret that Virginia Tech's football program is in a tough spot. We were, for the majority of my young life, we were always in the talks for somebody that could be a national championship team potentially.
Mm.
We were generally not leaving the top 25. And obviously, after Beamer left after the 2014 season, things have kind of changed in that sense. And we've struggled with Fuente and now with Pry. And, we're bringing on a new budget that will hopefully, change the dynamic of how we're able to fund this football program. But this Wake Forest loss, um, I saw some things that I just personally can't get over. I love the people that have might not have been a starter at the start of the season that have now stepped up. Namely our running back, and a couple of the guys on the defensive side of the ball um, show a lot of promise, and I'm excited about that. John Love is obviously rock solid. I think that he's one of the best kickers in the NCAA. But he did miss a field goal that could have potentially helped us close the margin and you know shift the tides of the game. But this loss is pretty textbook if you look at the past couple years of our football program. Um, we have an interim head coach stepping in, and he's done a good job thus far, but at the end of the day, we could not establish a running game, which is gonna hurt us because 'cause we're not gonna have as much time of possession. Um, Kyron Jones had a couple moments where I felt that we saw more of that inaccuracy, when he's throwing the ball. Now, this isn't I'm not hating on Kyron, I appreciate what he's been doing, but the way that this season's looking, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple games we start to see a little bit more of a rotational, quarterback system looking forward, kinda like we've seen with other skill positions. Um, on the Wake Forest side of the ball, they were able to this is Wake Forest's first win in Blacksburg since 1983.
Wow, you did your homework.
Yeah, so this speaks volumes. Wake Forest has traditionally not been the best football program in the ACC, but over the past couple of years, they've obviously made some incredible improvements that Virginia Tech maybe should take note of when they start looking for a new head coach this year. Um, but we were inefficient in the red zone. We had an inconsistent run game, which we know is how you burn the clock and control possession. And also, if you can establish a good run game, then more than likely you're going to win. Um, we had a really bad conversion failure on 4th and 6 that was a missed opportunity. And then obviously, like you said, the momentum swings that were caused by the penalties, really put a thorn in our side. Um, On the other hand, like I said, Wake Forest was able to capitalize on our mistakes, and at the end of the day, just like a turnover, um, can be a turning point in a football game, so can a penalty, at a critical moment. Um, Now, just to touch on the positives real quick, Philip Montgomery is at his first year at Virginia Tech.
Yes.
He did not anticipate being the head coach of this football team, and to be
Oh,
honest with you, if I was a coach here, I would not or no, if I was a player at Virginia Tech, it would be hard to not feel a little discouraged about, the way that the season has started, so I just wanna give a little hats off to Phil Montgomery for being able to step in at this, a very difficult time for any head coach to step into a football program like this. He's done a good job, and hats off to him in that respect. And then hats off to our young players that have stepped up and taken on some skill roles in a big way. Um, and also our defense. Our defense looks good. I saw a little bit more physical tackles happening. It's all about just keeping that offense on the field, and that starts with the running game in my opinion. So
yeah, you basically nail it. I mean, Tyron Stewart had a good game last week, and he played well game this week, and he got banged up. He got hurt. A couple of injuries. Offensive line got hurt, and Lever Cooper. Thanks for the comments, man. Yeah, the red zone was kind of messed up. I mean, Tech could have scored. Should have. I don't know why we run the same play. We ran the same play in the red zone. Um, but running the football instead of changing the play, and then we got unsportsmanlike conduct in the red zone. And
yeah,
then you end up on a, I
I hear what
mean,
you're saying there, but like to
yeah,
to to that point, this is something that I also thought of, and a lot of times when you see, like you mentioned, injuries with some of your starters, um,
yeah.
your playbook can become limited, and that might be a cause of that. I'm also kind of a firm believer that if you're the better team, it shouldn't necessarily matter what play you're running. You should almost we see it with the Eagles running the tush push. They line up, everybody knows they're doing the tush push. Um,
Yeah.
but they still convert like something around like 80% of the time. So like when sometimes the play calling does frustrate me, yes, but
Yeah.
if you're the better team, it shouldn't matter, and in a goal line situation, let's be honest, if you can't put it in 3, 4 tries, then I don't know if the problem is necessarily play calling as much as it is, communication amongst the players, organization that the coaches put forward for us and that kinda thing, so that's just kinda my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, you do make that makes sense. Do you, push it in?
Yeah, no, I mean, a very good football team, all you need is over 3.3 yards per play. If you can average 3.4 yards a game, then you will score on every single drive, and, on the defensive side of the ball, we just need to start to force 3 and outs. I feel like we've had trouble finding a rhythm, on both sides of the ball early in the game. And some of that could be the new personnel and obviously the change in coaching. And we've got a couple guys that seem to be leaning towards the portal, which I completely understand. And no
Yeah,
disrespect to those guys either. Um, with all the unsure, you know, uh, these football players. This is their career. This is something that I hear people complain about sometimes, but at the end of the day, this is what is gonna put food on these people's table, and this is also what they love, and so if somebody enters the transfer portal, we should do nothing but wish them the best, and
yeah,
yeah. But, I mean, what do you
that's
think about the outlook for, the rest of the season? I mean, let's see, we got Georgia Tech next week, who has been
a tough
playing
one.
at a high level.
That's gonna be then we're gonna play Louisville, then we play Florida State and Miami and not Wake Forest, and then in a rivalry, UBA. UBA looks like they're gonna be extremely tough to us this year. I hate to admit,
Yeah,
they
no,
look really good.
I agree, Kent, but, another thing that I've seen in the ACC this season is a lot of great games between teams that seem to be, showing up to some games and then not the other ones, like, we have Florida State who
Yeah,
had a tough loss this past week and the week before. Georgia Tech is pulling off upsets, along with UVA's upset over Florida State. Um, so there's just a little bit of unpredictability, game to game on what kind of team is gonna show up. And, not just Virginia Tech, but looking from a broader standpoint, I think it's really important that the ACC, um, figures out altogether how to have a winning culture. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Clemson, lost again this weekend.
yeah, they did. No, they won. They won.
Who'd they play? Remind me?
They beat North Carolina 38-10.
Okay, so yeah, I'm thinking about the week prior to that.
Yeah,
Um, but long story short, if the ACC wants to make, um, the our goal as the ACC, and I have to say I hate Miami, okay? I hate Miami, but if that's who we're riding the coattails of, you gotta remember that in bowl season last year, the ACC went 2-11, 2-11.
yeah.
So,
So
v I wanna see an ACC team in the playoff picture, and I wanna see an ACC team to be able to compete on the national scale, and, I just have a lot of concerns about any team in this conference being able to even do that, so it's one thing I'll say.
yeah. Excuse me. The ACC has been pretty. I mean, I will say the ACC been pretty darn good this year. We got Miami, UVA, Florida State, and others. And then there's a great chance that the ACC could be pretty good conference this year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm getting to is a lack of consistency from the teams that we have seen be powerhouses nationwide outside of the ACC over the past 15, 20 years. We've seen inconsistency out of Florida State. We've seen inconsistency out of Miami towards the end of the year last year. Um, we've seen it with Virginia Tech, obviously, and now Clemson. Um, and that's just something that kind of worries me. And you hear all the talk about the NIL and how it's fucking things up. But people need to remember that just because the NIL exists now on paper doesn't mean that something akin to it was in place, all along. So
Ye- Yeah, I agree with what you're trying to say, Jacoby. That's like with the NIL and the players getting paid. That's what things are. I mean, and this time we got to do what you got to do. Clemson needs to learn to be in the NIL era. Instead, and that's just the rules, and they struggle, and Dabo Swinney's struggling with that. It is,
yeah,
and players
well,
gonna transfer by
sure,
paying now.
sure. No, I mean, I think this is something that you're going to see a lot of schools struggle with, which is a large part of the reason why we probably were able to get our new budget passed. Um, is because we're coming to play. I mean,
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research into how the money works at Virginia Tech, and how much money we're paying everyone, and all this is public knowledge. And uh, I don't know if you were aware, but the number one paid employee of Virginia Tech is actually Whit Babcock.
Yes.
Um, and the university at large, we make our money on research, um,
Yeah.
but we make in profit. So this is after we pay for all the employees and all the construction and whatnot. Every single day, Virginia Tech University makes a little over $1 million. Uh,
That's right.
That means that we have about $365 million a year of money to invest in this university. So this budget that we have just gotten approved is certainly exciting, but it's also not as much money as people are led to believe. I would say. Um, I think that's important for people to realize.
Okay. You saying the 229 million dollars is not good enough? You saying say?
No, I'm saying so it's um, certainly a good amount of money, but you also need to realize that this is over the course of through the 2029 period. So we're looking at around an additional 50 million next year, and then about 60 million for the next years up until 2029. And this isn't just all going to the football team and football recruitment and whatnot. This is for all athletics at Virginia Tech, which
Yeah.
you know it's just it's a huge improvement from where we were, but people need to be aware of the fact that this isn't going to fix everything. You can't just throw money at
Yeah.
something. You need to bring the right people in so that we
Yep.
can use this money appropriately. So
Yeah. Before we get into the next thing, Chase's comment, I've been replaced. Was this type of no? Yeah. Laugh out loud, Chase.
And I see Cameron Stark here. He makes a good point. Um, and gosh, I could go on a tangent about it forever. But when we brought in Timothy Sands, who funny enough joined the college the same year, 2014, as Whit Babcock, our AD. Um, they pushed really hard for more admissions and growing the campus from a student standpoint, which I understand. It's obviously uh, it's a place for people to get education, but I don't know. I can't remember which school said it, but they said, we it was you remember that, Kent? They said we came to study ball or something like that. They had it on like a college game day sign.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean that's just a whole nother can of worms. I'm not exactly. I personally do not like Whit Babcock, and I personally do not like Timothy Sands. Um, Timothy Sands, I think, is kind of the root of a lot of our problems.
Yeah, I mean,
But
but I do want to say, we did got rid of a English major because of this budget. Yeah, Tim Sands is the you're responsible to hire the athletic director who it makes him looks bad if the athletic director if the co it makes both of them look bad. The coaching but ain't but good, make the athletic director look bad, and it's not good when the president looks bad when he spend more money on education more than foot athletics when he has been.
yeah, and I mean at the to wrap this up, because I guess we're especially a football podcast like these people are saying. Um, all I'll say is Tim Sands, California, UCLA. This is Virginia Tech. This is the East Coast. We need to get back to recruiting the 757. We need to bring the culture back. I'm tired of us playing Inner Sandman when we're a losing football program that is dilapidated, that all these players are leaving. Um, I personally think we should stop playing Inner Sandman unless we win the last game that we played. But that's my 2 cents again.
I guess you got that from the Boundary Corner podcast, my friend.
Look, I
But
can't.
you got
I've been saying this since Brent Pry's third 3-10 season, and his first installment as head coach. So um,
well,
I wasn't aware that they had been saying that for a while, but it makes sense, because every game, just sit down and watch them, and the greatest football entry, and it's like maybe it used to be like when you get the shit beat out of you by ODU, um, at home with a super senior quarterback. I don't know. So I think that
Chase
it's
said,
something that the players should work towards. That's all I'll say.
hey, Chase said, no, we can't get rid of it. It's a tradition. It's what we kept it on the map. That's Chase said in the comment section.
So here's what I'll say to Chase. The tradition at Virginia Tech is hitting hard, making capitalizations on special teams. Like Beamer used to say, my idea of Beamer ball is scoring not only on offense, but special teams and defense. And let me tell you something, I've never seen more arm tackles. Kyron Drones faked an injury in Syracuse last year so that he could get an extra year of eligibility. That's soft. That's not Virginia Tech football. That's not what I know. We don't have people like Cam Chancellor hitting hard. We don't have guys like the Edmonds brothers or the Fuller brothers. We don't have a hard nosed running back like last year. There are too many missing parts of this football team. I mean, when John Love is the best football player on the team, then you have a huge problem. So until we have guys hitting harder, and I will say, Kyron Jones has been um, leaning into some things more, and look, I don't think that he'll find success um, here really, or in the NFL whatsoever, but I wish him the best, and I hope that he proves me wrong, but, I think we need to focus on retaining some guys that we see some promise in, and, we need to get back to being a place that you do not want to see on your schedule.
Yes.
You could play Enter Sandman as loud as you want. Uh, uh, ODU will come in and whoop your ass, and that's we've seen it, and I'm tired of it, personally. The
I can't blame you on that one, man. That's a lot of people agree, but who knows? I do want to see get away. Stop playing number 25 on the. We need to move on for number 25.
What, like, the honorary jersey thing?
Yeah, the honorary journeys, and yeah, I think we need to get it out of Beamer's shadow on that side. And we're going to remember Frank Beamer. He's the greatest coach. He's a statue. His banner's up. But I think we need to got to get out of the shadow too as well. That a lot
Yeah,
of
and,
people do.
for sure. I mean, look, he, um, he took our football program to a height that it had never seen. Um, Without Beamer, we would have never went to a national championship. We wouldn't have recruited some of the best players and Hall of Famers that we've had on our program, and, I agree, but, um, yeah, the 25 thing to me has gotten a little old too. I appreciate it, and it'd be cool. I mean, I don't know. It's just it doesn't really mean as much to me as it used to. I will say that.
Yeah.
So, it has kind of lost a little bit of um, its dignity because of the way that we've been playing. It's like, how are we gonna honor Frank Beamer by losing to ODU and, all kinds of other people that we should be putting in the dirt. So I agree with that to some extent, but that is a bit of a tricky one. I'm not sure how I totally feel about that.
Well, I think it works in the first few years, and I think it was time to move. I got believe it's time to move on from it.
Sure. And I think that at the end of the day, Virginia Tech football is at a huge transitional moment. We're getting new funding. We're gonna pump money into this thing and get a new coach. The biggest mistake that we can make is probably right in front of us with making, I don't know, look at UNC, look at how they're doing. How much do you think they're paying Bill? Probably too much. And look at what they're getting. They're getting a mediocre football program with outside media attention that has nothing to do with the thing. So this is a extremely important next 4 years for us, especially when we're putting all our money into this pot. Um, and like I was saying earlier, with the ACC looking as unpredictable as it has been outside of Miami, who I hate, and also had some really questionable. I mean, they just they weren't able to execute. They weren't in the playoffs. They weren't even in the talks. So the best team in the ACC last year didn't even have a chance to sniff a national championship, and that's what worries me. So
Here's the
we
deal,
need to be able to
Brandon.
dominate the ACC before we even consider, um, you know, like, if we can't dominate in the ACC, then we're gonna struggle. We're gonna struggle.
Yeah, I agree. We need to win the transfer portal battle, and the reason why Miami's being successful is because of their NIL money. If you take the NIL away, Miami would probably be the same Miami.
Well, the good news is, Kent, is I'm happy to say that, I have all the faith in the world that Miami will absolutely choke, um, when it comes down to, performing, in not only the championship, but also, any sort of postseason, so you could put all the money you want into that machine.
Yeah.
I don't see Carson Beck, taking Miami anywhere close to a national championship. That's my 2 cents on that because the SEC is just really good, man.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And, you can't forget, teams like, Ohio State that just seem to, year after year, know exactly how to run a football program successfully.
Yeah.
Um, but so let's take a look real quick at next week, with Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Um, so Virginia Tech right now averages about 24 points a game, and we've struggled offensively. We've also struggled establishing that rush game. So I think a major key for us is to establish the rush
Yep.
and also stop Georgia Tech's rush game, one of the best in the ACC currently. Um, they also average 38 points a game. So we need to make sure that we can get a couple three and outs and prevent them from getting into a rhythm.
Yeah,
Um,
Chase, I think you just kinda wanted to talk about this Georgia Tech game, by the way. I'm reading Chase's comment.
what is he saying?
It's the people can't wait to hear about the Hokies and the pros. Oh, we do a tradition about Hokies and the pros later on
We
in the
could
pod.
sure we could talk about Hokies in the pros for sure.
Yeah,
Um, but let's finish with this
yeah,
this matchup. To be honest with you, Kent, I think Virginia Tech's got a tall order here. Georgia Tech is playing well, and they have a tough team that scores a lot of points and has a good run game, and we literally have the opposite. I mean, it's we need to a win for me would be a close game, win or lose. That's just me personally. Um, Now, if we get stifled and Georgia Tech shuts us down and people on the team just become even more demoralized, then that's probably the worst thing that could happen. So, um, as long as that doesn't happen, I think I'd be satisfied uh, with what that game holds for us. So,
yeah. I mean, Georgia Tech's gonna be tough, and Brian Key does a very good job turning up when Georgia Tech fired Jeff Collins 2020 and promote Brian Key.
yep.
Brian Key, Georgia Tech took off just like that.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I mean, to that same kind of token, look at a team like UVA, who's who's been able to turn a lackluster team. I mean, that was their first top 25 win at home. I can't remember how many years it was, but it had been quite a time since that happened. And that's why you saw that really cool storm of the field. As much as I, dislike UVA,
Yeah, me
it
too.
was hard not to be excited for those guys, rushing out onto the field, and it was a really cool moment for ACC football for sure. That I'm sure we'll see
Yeah,
for years to come.
yeah. They just pay a 50. They're the second team to pay a $50,000 fine. YouTube notification. Sorry about that.
Yeah, the 50K fine that they got.
Yeah,
I'd say that was well worth every penny. for
yeah,
the amount of times over the years, especially watching the ACC network, that you'll remember that how cool that moment was, for those guys. Um, but yeah, so did you watch most of the games this past Sunday as we go kind of shift towards Hokies in the pros?
no, I haven't. Let's talk about let's see how is Tremaine Evans doing. Check him out.
Yeah, I'll have to look into things, as far as that goes. I know just off the top of my
Yep,
head.
you're right, Case. Cut the penalties out.
Absolutely. I mean, that comes down to, coaching, in my opinion. But, one
Yep.
thing as far as Hokies and the pros go this past week, one thing I will, that's just at the top of my mind is, the Tennessee Titans kicker, Joey Sly, who we all know and love, had a game-winning field goal, for the Titans' first win with Cam Ward, another ACC guy. So that was the Tennessee Titans' first win, this year, and it came through, the combination of a guy like Cam Ward coming from Miami and, our very own Joey Sly, who has been in the league for quite some time. It was just a 29 yarder, but the pressure was on, and the way that the Titans season is going right now, they needed that, to really give them a little bit of confidence and a little bit of light, especially with Cam Ward, being so young and then coming into a program that desperately needs a quarterback that they can count on. Um, I'm sure that he's overcoming a lot of. I mean, it's just difficult to be that young and have the weight of that not only yourself but the Tennessee Titans as well. So hats off to them. Jalen Lane, I watched him play in the Commanders game. He had some targets, and I don't think that he connected on many of them, but uh, he's a guy that I'm going to be obviously keeping a close eye on. That I think will be very impactful for that Commander squad. That's just off the top of my head. I'd have to look up kind of anything outside of that. Uh,
Ca- Cameron Stark said Tootin should have just scored a TD, but the Jags didn't give him the ball
well, it
and
sounds
Gallon
like
fumbled it.
Pete Carroll's blunder with Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how our other guys are doing in the pros, man.
Like
I know,
Edmonds had a tackle.
yeah,
Did had
he
11
did.
tackles.
Let's see. I know that Diablo is performing at a high level on his team, and I another thing that comes to mind is veteran quarterback Tyrod Taylor. With the Jets now being 0-5, although Tyrod did start one of those games for a Fields injury, um, there were some murmurs as the clock winded down in that Jets game that they might start to look towards Tyrod. Now, do I think that's going to happen? I really am not sure. And as much as I hate to say it, I don't know if that's necessarily the right decision, for them, but it would be really cool to see Tyrod, be able to start some games and see what he can make happen, but, unfortunately, the Jets just they have more issues than a quarterback issue,
Yeah, they do.
yeah, um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know who's active aside from those guys that I just kinda discussed right there. Um, see, we have, Steven Gosnell for the Bills, Dorian Strong, and Keontae Jennings. I don't think that any of those guys are in a starting
Top in
position.
top in Chamari Connor. He's playing right now.
Jamar Connor is, yeah, he is a first string safety for the Chiefs, who are playing right now, I believe. So I guess we'll see what this game holds for them.
Has he
Um,
got any stats?
yeah, here, let me see here. I don't, yeah, no, I don't see much on this here. Um, but who knows? Maybe tonight he'll have a pick six or two. So,
Yeah, I hope so too.
I know that Chuck Clark has been doing well for the Steelers, and then Antoine Powell Ryland has obviously uh, continued to be a young guy that I'm sure the Eagles organization is happy to have. I think that he will have he'll be safe. I'm sure the Eagles are happy to have him.
Yeah.
um, Now um, Tootin has obviously made an impact for the Jaguars. But it's one of those things where uh, similar to how we saw Jameer Gibbs and a lot of the younger running backs in the league, it takes a couple years to really take the lion's share of carries. So we'll see
Yeah.
how that.
He's he's released from the Eagles.
Well, I guess they weren't too happy about having him. um, is that true? I don't know. I'm just looking at whatever's on this website here. What's sad, Kent, is literally 5 years ago, Hokies and the Pros would have been a much longer and exciting segment, but unfortunately, right now, it's just not. And that's the reality of the situation, and that's something that is a key indicator of the fall off that this football program has had. So we need to get back to. We need it's another example, Chase, why we shouldn't be playing Enter Sandman. um, it's frustrating, but look, I have a positive outlook, and I'll watch every game. Um, it's just we clearly have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
We need to make some strategic hires and make sure that this money gets bang for its buck.
Well, okay. What's your third thing you was going to talk about today?
Oh, I think we've covered everything because I kind of jumped into that preemptively with just the budget um, and the impact that's going to make. Um, I kind of feel good about. I think I've kind of shared most of everything I have to share. I guess another thing I wanted to mention is I see a lot of hate out there about Brent Pry and how it didn't work out. Um, and I just want to say best of luck to him, and I appreciate the work that he put forward. It obviously didn't work out, but there's no
Good
there's
for
there's absolutely no reason to put all of that burden on Brent Pry when he I think he genuinely gave it as much as he had to give. I think it would be ridiculous to think that he wouldn't. I mean, you know, it's a tough job, and uh, football's a tough game, and it's a shame that it didn't work out. But best of luck to him in his future.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Who you think could be the next head coach?
Oh gosh, I mean,
Dan
I've heard
Mullen,
I've heard a few
Pat Fitzgerald.
names.
Pat Fitzgerald.
I mean, I've heard some crazy things. I've heard Mike McDaniel, John Gruden, Mike Vick. I've heard a bunch of things. I think it's way too early to tell right now.
Yeah,
As much as I love and respect Michael Vick and what he did for this football program as a player, he is locked into his job from a personal standpoint, and he wants to see success with Norfolk State first and foremost before he even makes some sort of decision like that. And while it would be cool and storybook romantically, it would be a cool story. I just don't see that happening. Uh,
yeah.
Gruden's got a lot of, skeletons in his closet that follow him for different reasons that I'm not sure I agree with.
Inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's once again a novel idea. Um, I think whoever ultimately becomes the head coach of Virginia Tech will not be any of the names that we've heard so far.
Yeah. And Joey over here is trolling, by the way.
Who's that?
Joey saying Coach Mac Brown, Coach Wolf Tech.
Witegi?
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you're a UNC fan. Can't you just you punch down on anybody that's as low as you or right above you. Those
Yeah.
Tar Heels got a dumpster fire on their hand, and he just can't stand it. Poor thing. And
I
to
know.
make things worse, he's a Carolina Panthers fan, so he has some sort of hope that Bryce Young is going to be the next Jaden Daniels. When in all reality, the Panthers might be one of the worst football programs around currently.
That's classic. Anyway, you want to end it by the way?
Yeah,
You got something up there.
I guess just if I had any closing remarks, it would be just to stay positive. You know, I see just within Hokie Nation, I see a lot of negative comments online. People putting the blame on one person, people putting the blame on drones or the coaching or wit, or we can't assign this downfall of our football team to one person. That would be ridiculous. It is clearly a lot of different things that are affecting our team currently, and we need to look on the bright side and continue to look forward and give it our all and be nothing but supportive to this football program. I mean, I've seen the stadiums empty earlier in games. eh, I mean, I've heard fans over the TV booing our team. Those people don't know the those people don't know what Virginia Tech football is, in my opinion. So I just encourage all those people to stop doing that. They don't want to lose. Brent Pry didn't want to get fired. Kyron Jones doesn't want to have a mediocre season again. Um,
Yeah.
this football team wants to win, and we need to support them. And I'm looking forward to the future of what this new budget holds. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Anyway, you make a great point. All this podcast, Jacoby Mackey, and this is an awesome to have you on.
Yes,
I
sir. Thank
probably
you for having me, bud.
I'm probably gonna have Chase the next one again, back on it again. Anyway, I'm gonna close it out and I'm gonna send us off.
All
Well,
right.
hang on, Joey's
VCI,
trophy.
baby.
You damn bears spent $1 with us 2 cents. That's Joey Gallo's gonna be talking smack.
Yeah, typical UNC Panthers fan can't even form a complete sentence. Um,
Laugh out loud.
as they say in Miami, sucks to be you. Now go
Yeah.
Hokies.
Yeah.
HOKIDS, baby. Um,
Yeah.
we'll get back to it. We'll get back to a winning program, Kent. I believe it. And once again,
Yeah.
appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm about to close it out. Anyway, thanks you everybody so much. Thank you everybody so much for watching the episode of Virginia Tech Football Show, Season 3, Episode 9. Until next time, I'm your host, Kent. To your name.
And I am Jacob Morgan. Let's go,
And let's
Hokies!
go Hokies! See you later,
Yes, sir,
man.
man. Have a good night.
You too.